Hey everybody, welcome to Daggone Garage Bar Radio. Of course, this is your favorite show on the whole thing. I'm just kidding. I'm sure you love Rubits too. But this is Two Fools on Stools. I'm Danny Farrar. This is Zach Davis.
Yeah, we're live, guys. And you know what? We're wondering, because this last UFC event, not the biggest one in the world, a lot of fun fights, but so much came on during the fights this week, or during the sport this week. It's like they took a little lull and everything went crazy in the sport. So we're excited about all that.
But before we get there,
of course,
we've got to talk about the thing that everybody knows and loves, the most important thing to all Americans right now. That's it this weekend. You're right. It's the Super Bowl. You're going to have the Atlanta Falcons versus the the Patriots. And listen, there is nothing that goes better with football than wings. So make sure that you're taking time to head on over to Buffalo Wild Wings where you can get their big game takeout special. We're talking about 50 boneless wings for $42.99 or 50 traditional wings for $49.99. Be a traditionalist. Get the damn bones in. It's the last little bit of life the chicken had left. Consume the bone. But you can kick them up. Any of those options are yours. Of course they come with celery. Of course they come with ranch and blue cheese. And you can get them at any of your local participating Buffalo Wild Wings. Beer, wings, sports, you have to be here. But in this case, you have to go home.
There you go. So, first off, Super Bowl is coming up, Danny. Are you watching this? Are you
I'm gonna watch a Super
Bowl. Patriots fan? I know
100%.
Since the Cowboys dropped out.
I keep feeling like, actually when I was sitting there, I was trying to figure out, I've always had this internal struggle. Should I be a Cowboys fan, America's team, or should I be the Patriots, red, white, and blue? But there was too much Deflategate, so I couldn't get behind
Too much controversy surrounding the
controversy.
Patriots. You just got to go to the Redskins. Nice, easy, 16-game season. They never go into overtime on the season. I haven't really had to watch. Oh, John
But
Thorpe.
they throw interceptions at the end of the Pro Bowl game, which is good. So, hey, at least he's consistent like that.
All right, Sharif has already put in a request for no union talk. Oh, man, my favorite. All right, hopefully George St. Pierre wasn't called the fakest of all time by Conor McGregor, but we'll see what's going on. So, first off, there's a big fight, UFC 23.
23?
UFC on Fox 23.
I was like,
sorry,
what?
Geez, man, Zach was back in time. UFC on 20 out in Denver. Interesting card because not a huge bunch of headliners on it. And it's kind of like the UFC spread itself a little bit thin with some of the big events. And they're not, I almost feel like they're slow playing the end of their Fox contract. Because the main event on that one was Valentina Shevchenko versus Juliana Pena. And,
First, I'm so happy Pena got her ass beat, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's start off, though, with what the title was. Is this where the cowboy rides away? And of course, I know for a fact that the cowboy isn't going to ride away here. But this is the heartbreak to me with Cerrone, because I am a huge Cerrone fan. I think most of the people that follow this sport, they love the guy. But this is the part that's like heart-wrenching about it, is because Cerrone goes on these super impressive win streaks. And then he comes out, and for whatever reason, he will randomly just shit the bed. And listen, and I know we had this conversation, hey guys, you said this all the time, guys, there's two guys in the cage. There's something going on.
It's a coin flip. There's two people, one of them's going to win.
But when you look at, and it seems that if a good boxer gets past his kickboxing, which is still always so crazy to me, because I'm always like, he's long, he has phenomenal kickboxing, and you would always think, I remember having a conversation with Master Mike where he talked about, why would we just use 2 weapons when we have 8? And you would think that would make it harder for someone to get in on, but a strong boxer, when you look at Masvidal, when you look at Nate Diaz, they seem to sometimes get in on him, give him more problems, I think, than a wrestler does. Wrestlers don't seem to give a hard time to it.
The tricky part with Cerrone is he's so fun to watch because he takes chances. And he takes chances with who he fights. They even said before that Cerrone didn't watch any tape on Masvidal. He just went out to do it. And the thing that everybody loves about Cowboy is the same thing that screws him up, is that he'll throw caution to the wind. He'll just go out there and do it. He doesn't always book his matchups as appropriately. I don't even think if he won against Masvidal, it would have put him in that much of a better position. So he went out there. He just wanted to fight in front of Denver, and it just didn't go his way. I got a couple theories. One could be that I think Cerrone's best when he doesn't really care. But whenever the fights mean a lot, And this one meant a lot to him because it was in Denver. It was his hometown fight, and it wasn't a ton to win, and it didn't go his way. Whenever it was a number one contender fight, as he was working his way up, he dropped the ball. So I think Cerrone's best when he says, fuck it, I'm going in there, I'm going to do it, you know. But now that he cared, it was his hometown. You could hear the crowd in the background chanting cowboy. It was pretty cool. But I think that actually gets in his head a little bit because now I have to dial it up a notch.
Now, do you look at a guy like that and do you call that guy a choker?
I mean, I've heard that term thrown around. It's hard to call someone a choker when they're able to work their way because each one of those, every fight for those guys is game day. I mean, by working your way up into the UFC, you're fighting in the main event on a smaller card. Then you're fighting your first main event on the show. These are all like peaks of people's career. So he kept stepping up to the plate and winning, stepping up to the plate. And I mean, when you get to the top of the heap, sometimes it's not just choking. It's also a lot of times that your skills are limited and you're not as good as the next guy.
I look, and I don't know how other people think about this, and I see Sharif, saying that he's pointing out that he's beaten some beasts. But you know what? You look at a guy like Peyton, for example. If we were to go to a different sport in football, he has all the records, he has all the stats. But if we sit down and have a conversation about who's the better quarterback, everyone will 100% always go to Brady because he's been more clutch. So listen, when I say someone chokes, I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I mean, the fact is there are so many athletes now that invest the money in sports psychologists, to try to help get them over. And I actually think Cerrone invested money.
I actually haven't seen that, so maybe he did.
I think they invested money.
I mean, it is a big thing. I mean, when you look at the top ranking, what's up, Amani? Good to see you, man. Good to see Robert Reed tuning in too.
Hit that share like tag button.
Oh yeah. Share it out to anybody that is going to disagree with us. We want people fighting us on this stuff. Yeah, it's a fight show. I mean, Cerrone, with the guys at the top levels, there's not a ton that separates them. So they're looking at, if you watch these strength and conditioning training, everybody's got a cutting edge thing. They're all looking for the edge. And, having a sports psychologist that helps you perform a little bit better is actually going to make a big difference. So I think Cerrone might have that, but sometimes you got to give it to people that maybe, Cerrone's been through some battles. He's been through some wars. He has fun. He doesn't always treat his training camps as seriously as other people do. And, he might be performing to the extreme for his level. I don't want to say he peaked out, but he might have a ceiling that's not quite there with the very top 2 or 3 people.
I think one thing when you look, and I've said this multiple times when it comes to Cerrone and the haphazard way that he just goes about, I'll fight everybody out there. And on one level, that's incredibly, it's commendable, it's respectable, but one of the things that came to mind me after this fight, and this is part of the reason why I wrote, is this where the cowboy rides away? Is because, do I think he'll retire after the fight? Of course I don't. But he got knocked out from a headshot for the first time in his career. And listen, the entire thing, if anybody wants to stat this, and I know Sharif said, hey, listen, Masvidal is not a check. But Cerrone talked about going into this fight that Masvidal, or however you say his last name, Masvidal, was not a finisher. So this is not a guy that's a knockout artist. And so this was always my concern with Cerrone going up to 170, is that he has been in so many fights, so many wars, that you look what Dana said about Chuck Liddell. He's like, there was a point in time with Chuck Liddell that you could hit him over the head with a 2x4 and it wouldn't do anything to him. And then at the end of his career, he got knocked out all the time. Yeah. Cerrone was knocked out, went back to the corner, and that's one of the things he said he didn't recover from.
If you guys watch the fight, I felt like that was the worst I'd seen Herb Dean. Herb Dean is usually pretty good about it. But it was just irresponsible. If you saw, Cerrone was knocked out cold. And they're waking him up, and it took him a while in that corner to even realize what was going on. And sending him back out there I just thought it was irresponsible. I know it's his hometown, but we shouldn't have to consider, where the fight is for what's safe. What's safe and not. And, it's tough because Herb was jumping in at the bell, but I think Cerrone took an extra knockout that night And he took
And
some
then
pound
you
in that second round. I didn't like to see it because I like Cerrone, and when you're done, you're done, and that's what makes it a sport. But as soon as you're done and you're still getting beat up, that's when you're getting jumped. And that's what it looked like in that second round. He was just getting worked.
And the problem with all that is that, you know, so I kind of feel like, and maybe some people will disagree with me on this, but I really do feel, even though I love this sport, and I think it's 100% of a humane sport, I think it's way more humane than boxing, but I still do feel like it's Russian roulette.
Yeah.
You go out there, and every time you go out there, again, we go back, and it's one of the things that I've always respected about Master Mike when he talks about you're going to get into the cage.
First off, happy birthday, Master Mike just turned 50 years old.
50, looking 25, Master Mike. But even if you go into there as an amateur, people do not grasp this, that there is a possibility that you go in there and you die.
Yes.
And so if you're going to have any type of fight career, the reality I think about all of this is that you are setting yourself up for Russian roulette. And the more times you go in there and you click that trigger, eventually you're going to sit down and you're going to get what's going to go on. And the crazy thing about MMA, especially when if you're looking at it just from a win-loss standpoint, it's like pulling the trigger twice.
Yeah.
Each time you go in, because there's so many, or 8 different ways. There's so many different ways for you to lose in MMA.
Right.
But these knockouts, I think they take a toll. And
you know, there's a big thing about getting knocked out a second time. It's a second concussive action that they talk about a lot. That if you get knocked out that first time, the brain's okay, but it goes into like a protection mode. And when you get that second one, it does more damage, longer to recover from, because your brain is already like kind of traumatized. So, you know, I'm hoping for the best for Cerrone. He's always been a showman.
The thing Chuck said, and I do agree with you, Jamie. I do think he came back too soon from that Matt Brown fight. I think that took more of a toll on the people believe. But Chuck Liddell said, "Hey, listen, once you get knocked out, and I don't know if this is true, this is Chuck science, but it makes sense.
Chuck science is always a little bit different.
He said, once you get knocked out that first time, your brain goes, oh, so this is all I have to do to stop the trauma.
This is how I stopped Chuck from being an idiot.
And you think about it, like, look at how many, if we want to go back to, and I'm sure there's some scientists out there that's going to say, Daddy, you're fucking stupid, and that's cool. But think about how many animals that, if they want to stop, they go submissive, right?
Possum, name
the possum, the gorillas, chimpanzees, when they fight, they'll come. I watched Tarzan. You remember that scene? You see the new Tarzan movie?
I have not. I didn't think
wasn't
that I needed to say
that bad. But, you know, they talked about, hey, listen, you have to be submissive in that. And so I think in a lot of ways, like when you get knocked out like that, your body's shut down, like, please just stop beating my ass.
Yeah,
please.
I used to wonder about that, like fainting. You see people faint, and I used to think, I was like, how did anybody evolve that? Naturally, a real scary situation. Best thing, go limp. I think maybe intelligent design kind of fell short there. That really scary intruder in my house.
You know that's why
turn your body off.
You know that's why they call them scapegoat. Where the term scapegoat comes from.
I've never heard of that.
The fainting goat. The fainting goat was put in with the other animals, and it would faint. And so the predator would eat the fucking goat that fainted, so the other animals could escape. That's where the term scapegoat comes from.
An scapegoat?
Yeah, they're the scapegoat. Like,
I'm gonna have to. Hey,
dude,
can we get someone to verify
I'm telling you, that shit. I've taught y'all science and history. And
but
this
doesn't that make you feel bad? Like anybody that's fainted before, you're like, man, that was my opportunity to go.
That
was my subconscious jumping on the grenade.
I want a fainting friend. Give anybody out there faint. You want to come with me? I'll buy your dinner.
Anytime we go out to a dangerous situation. You're the one that drops.
Me and my
one for the team.
Well,
okay, so there were some other fights on the card.
Let's talk about Pina.
Whoa!
I hate her. I hate Juliana Pina. I have hated her.
Pena,
I have whatever. I hate that bitch.
I love Pena. All right,
how do you hate? How do you love her?
She is a badass chick. Did you hear
Jesus
before her last fight
that
they got? I think her coach got shot. They got held up. She still made the fight, no problem.
I don't
and beat Holly Holm. Holly Holm had just.
If you watch her, Pena didn't beat Holly Holm.
Oh, you know, I'm thinking of Shevchenko.
Yeah.
Okay, I like Shevchenko. I can't stand Pena.
I was like, what the hell?
I'm sorry. They look so similar.
Are you? You confuse Pena and Shevchenko? How did
They
you
do
that?
look okay. You know, they look similar.
Holy
All right.
shit.
Shevchenko, I love. Pena, I can't stand. I'm with you on that.
I hate Pena. See, Courtney, he hates her too. Listen, I can't stand her. I hated her on The Ultimate Fighter. I hate fucking the fake bully shit.
I think she's just socially awkward. Sometimes I forget that not everybody knows how to interact with large groups of people.
Whatever.
And
I think she's an egotistical, arrogant asshole.
Man.
Period. Period. One of the most.
I mean,
wow. I just.
even her nickname is the Valenzuelan Vixen.
Listen, I will.
I mean, if you tell yourself you're the Vixen, I mean,
I'll give her credit on one thing, because I can hate somebody and like them, but and say that they've done something right. She's a tough bastard. There isn't any question about that. I mean, she tore both knees. And
now I think she tore all the ligaments in one knee.
Yeah, it's
But you know what's funny with that is the way it went down is she called up Dana White. She's supposed to do like a big main event and said one of my teammates, and she put it all on the teammate, and it made this big stir that her teammate was being an a-hole and ripped up her knee and took a cheap shot at her. And then the gym came back out and was like, no, that's not how this went down. And so then it kind of cast this whole shade on the whole situation that she might have just been throwing her teammate under the bus because of a freak accident. And usually when somebody will drop their teammate under the bus. Now, it could have been. It could be that somebody was cheap shotting a woman in the gym. But how often? That seems so unrealistic to me that it seemed more likely that she was upset she had to drop out. She threw her teammate under the bus.
Yeah, the reality is you don't see. Connor is not arrogant. Courtney, you be quiet with your. You be quiet.
She's gender baiting.
You are gender baiting. You gender baiter. Because Connor's fucking funny. If you want to know the reality of it, here's the truth. This is stuff that people don't like, and I'll agree that maybe it's not fair, but it's the reality of life. If you're good looking, you can get away with shit. If you're funny, you can get away with shit. If you're successful, you can get away with shit. If you're ugly, not funny, and unsuccessful, you can't get away with shit. You better be the nicest person on planet Earth.
I mean, she's an attractive girl. I mean, she's not bad looking. But what I think it is that she's arrogant, but not in a charismatic way. So
yes,
Rousey,
that's actually a phenomenal way of saying it.
Ronda Rousey, she could say, she's like, well, these girls keep trying, but we keep snapping those arms, so do your best. And everyone's like, Ronda, you're cool as hell.
Yeah.
I like you, and I like your confidence. Now, when you say it in not if you say, these girls have no chance, I'm way better than them, then all of a sudden, Juliana Pena does the same thing. She just can't, do it as well.
Came in, and I think sometimes people fail to pay attention to how that they are, for lack of better terms. Ronda does not suck. What is wrong with you?
Hey,
I'm going to call some Brazilians, okay? All right, I'm going to start getting some Brazilians to hit on Zach, and it's going to get awkward, okay? But anyway, a lot of people don't realize that the way, and maybe there's always the possibility, and I will concede this, that it's how shit gets cut and edited. But she came up on The Ultimate Fighter. That is where she was introduced to the world. And,
that was like the last season I watched, like, all the episodes.
And, you were just like, you watched her in The Ultimate Fighter, and you were like, I fucking hate you. I hate you. I can't stand anything about you.
And she wasn't a very likable one.
No.
And so, I feel bad because she had won, 9 in a row. Bill knows the stats way better than us. But she'd won a ton in a row. She was next up. So it was cool. This one was a number 1 contender, but Shevchenko, she really stepped up, and I mean, she's the real deal. I mean, she had a great fight with Amanda Nunes. She beat Holly Holm, and now she beat Juliana Pena. I think we're going to see another fight with Nunes. And actually, I mean, I hope she catches on, but her and Nunes as a title fight, I don't think it can headline a pay-per-view. It'd be harder that. You'd have to kind of link it with something else. But I think we might have the next women's star in Shevchenko if she can beat Nunes. So I was super pumped with that one. 4 in a row? No way. Juliana Pena I thought she hadn't lost.
You think the problem with you is you believe that Juliana Pena is unstoppable.
I did not know.
You
She just lost Shevchenko.
Yes, and I was pumped. I was doing a little dance like this. I was like, she lost.
Shevchenko's a bad chick.
Because she was talking so much shit. Before, wasn't she the one talking about she might go to Bellator or some shit?
She wasn't.
Yeah, beat it. Bye. Bye.
This goes into so many other ones.
Go on.
Before we get into the rest of the card, Rousey, they asked Dana White about her recently, and you know what Dana says. So some stuff you gotta kind of take with a grain of salt. But Dana says he thinks from his conversation with Ronda Rousey that she's done, that she's riding off into the sunset.
Let me tell you, with all you women that hate Ronda Rousey, this is the problem. This is the problem with women. You want to know the problem with women? I tell you the problem with women. Y'all are catty as shit. You try to put a bunch of you in a room, and within 10 minutes, at least 70% of the room will hate one person. I don't know what it is. I don't know why y'all do like that. But the people that hate Ronda,
mentality.
I listen.
You gotta stick together.
This is the shit that just cracks me up. Ronda did so much for women in this sport. Yeah, I mean, there would be, understand this, go back in history, there would be, are you ready? 0, say it one more time, 0 women in the UFC if not for Ronda.
Dana White even said, he was like, this
never
never
been.
And then he met Ronda, and Ronda was selling out arenas. She was entertaining. She was refined. She could work the mic, and then she delivered the goods every time. She never had a boring fight, and so they finally the game caught up with her. She was so far ahead in one area. She was an athlete. She was a badass, and the game caught up with her. And it happens to everybody. So I don't know why. It's odd that everybody else. Not everybody else. Sometimes the guys get it, but never as bad as Ronda. Has it been that as the next generation comes up, the previous generation was just trash.
What people don't get about it is her greatness is what led to her demise. She's like the real life version of Beowulf. Like, seriously, like she's the female version of Beowulf if it was a real story. She comes in, I am Beowulf, and she just starts beating everybody's ass, and she just snack up. Then she punched one chick so hard that she shit her pants, and it was all over the thing, and everybody shared it. I don't think you should have shared the shit pants. That's wrong in my opinion. But people on the internet,
watch Beowulf. I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen Beowulf? I am Beowulf. You gotta watch this shit. Shit's awesome. Anyway,
the punch in the stomach, shit your pants part. That sounds like something I'd like to watch.
But her greatness, her ability to propel the women's division to being a viable division in the UFC, for being a division in the UFC, it made sure that all of the wolves that were training in the backwoods that no one knew about at the time, she brought them to her.
Yeah, I mean, it happens with anybody that's a star, and a star in any sport, that when they start to lead the charge, everybody, there's just a knee-jerk kind of jealousy, a kind of thing where you want to see the leader trip and fall, and everybody says, see, you're not that much better. But really, they're leading the whole group, so all the women have all these opportunities now, and they get to be showcased. And we had these women main eventing, even though Juliana Pena and Valentina Shevchenko were very small names, they're the number one contenders, so they get the main event, the Denver card, and that's a good thing. It's because Ronda was there. So, I honestly, at this point, after watching Rousey get knocked out this last time, and that combined with her fight with Holly Holm, I'd be happy for her to retire. You know what I mean? It'd be great if she could come back and win some, but the fact is, I really don't think that's going to happen. And unless she, made major changes or something like that, I think we're going to see the same thing over and over. And it's depressing to watch her do it, because you see an all-time great being just brought to their knees, and it's just not something I don't want to pay money to see that.
Sharif said in the link that he tagged us in when they were talking about Dana saying, hey, I think she's done. Sharif was like, hey, I just hate to see her end like this. Well, the way to end worse is 3 losses. I mean, it's one of those things. It's when you come to that, I think you become right, wrong, or indifferent on one trick pony. What a lot of people I don't think realize took place in front of your eyes over a very, 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 very short window, you could chart, if you knew how to make charts, and I don't, but you could chart, and it would run a parallel path, just much more condensed. Ronda's career literally was a perfect emulation of the entire history of the UFC. And what I mean by that is, you go back 20-some years now to when UFC started. It was everybody was a one-trick pony. Everybody, you had somebody knew Kempo, somebody knew Jiu-Jitsu, somebody knew boxing, somebody knew street brawling. And they all came together and they got into a fight to see who was the premier art. Out of that, as we started to evolve, people started picking and choosing from different arts, and before you knew it, the one-trick ponies couldn't sustain any longer. Yeah. And we went through this entire series, this entire history, history point in time, where all the one-trick ponies started getting beat out by the people that were mixing the arts. And I think this really came to a full climax with GSP, because GSP was beating.
GSP too.
He mixed it first, the best, I think. Well, with Ronda, what you saw is in that limited window, she came in, was a one-trick pony, crushed all these people because her trick was so good, and then they adapted to it.
Yeah, I've always thought this, that the women's division, because it was smaller, less women active in the sport, and it didn't have an opportunity to grow, that the women really represented like the UFC's climb, so it was really at the base. But now, within 1 or 2 years of them starting the entire division, it is already starting to get there. And I go a step further, the GSP was kind of the blend of everything evenly, and now I think you're getting actually a throwback where now everybody has all the skills, and the thing that's separating them is being able to do one thing better. So you see Wonderboy Thompson, or Conor McGregor, or Damian Maia, who, they know how to grapple, or they know how to strike enough to hang, to set the other things up. But now they also have got elite in one category, and they can work to that. So you look at, like, Stephen Thompson, he knows how to grapple some, he knows how to defend in the wrestling, but his striking has an element that can take him above everybody else. Damian Maia, the same way. He can hang in a striking battle, he can show up, but once he gets to the ground, he's so good that even these guys who are good, he's great. So now there's guys who are good all the way across, like GSP, but they're great in one area. And it's kind of a fun evolution of the sport that we're starting to see now. Pretty excited about where it's going.
Hey, Sharif, I'm sorry. I'm just going to touch on this for just a second.
I didn't want to go into that one.
I'm sorry. But damn, I got to love my man McGregor. I love him. I love McGregor. What did McGregor say? McGregor said he slammed fake George St. Pierre because you joined the MMA because you couldn't get the deal that you wanted from the UFC.
Some of you guys don't know what Danny's talking about. Conor McGregor did this big pay-per-view interview, which was kind of weird. First off, they did like an interview that you pay $5 to watch. I think he's finally putting his money where his mouth is, that they would just pay me to be by myself. And they asked him about the union, so and he said that George St. Pierre is the fakest of everybody because he finally decided to join up with the union when he couldn't come to a deal with the UFC. I kind of got to go a little bit with it. I'm a big fan of the union talks, but he's on point with this one. He says, he kind of, you hear a lot that Conor McGregor says, you just got to go out and get it. Everybody wants it to be given to them, but you just got to go out and get it.
Is Conor McGregor an American? Is he American? Is this shit? Is this not the quintessential American dream?
And, I mean, he did do it, but you know the thing is, the other guys can't all do it.
Who would have ever thought to charge for my interview, bro?
He did.
He charged. Mayweather never even thought to charge
for an evening with Conor McGregor, and it's just him. Apparently, it was an all-black tie event. I actually want to see it. I want to pay $5 to watch it.
It's so great.
Ariel Helwani interviewing Conor McGregor in pay-per-view. But you know, honestly, I think Conor McGregor's just angling for a fight with George St. Pierre. But he takes it to another level. He doesn't just call him, you're washed up, you're a loser. He takes what's actually happening, that George St. Pierre is doing this, and he gets behind it. He says, you know what? I know you're trying to start this whole union for the UFC, but
so
you're fake, and all of a sudden adds this new level to it's like a WWF drama where it says, he's like the anti-company man and then the company man, and then it's actually gonna be fun. I think
want, you know what I want Connor to do? I want Connor to fucking slam a Guinness and freaking and stun Dana White.
Boom.
Just I mean, the shit is amazing. Say it to me. Connor is.
But you know what he does? He makes options for himself.
He does.
What he does is that everybody else is waiting in line, and that's cool. But you can't have too many people doing it. But everybody's waiting in line for their turn, and he says, "Screw it, I'm gonna go do this over here. I'm just gonna punch one of these guys."
I'm gonna make my turn.
And so now he's got a line. Everybody's waiting in line for these number one contenders, and he could just say, "I'm gonna fight the winner of Tony Ferguson and Khabib." That's fun, but that fight's waiting for him. That'll be there no matter what. He says, "Let's see what Floyd's up to." He knocks on Floyd's door. Oh, I can get $25 million.
But you know what people don't even get? Him pushing that agenda allows him. When people don't know what's going on, it's what makes them. They're like, fuck, maybe I'll pay the $5 because maybe I'll hear it first when he announces the Floyd fight. The thing about Conor that I love is that he says, you know what? Bet on me. I'm putting it all on black. And eventually, some point in time, it's gonna go out on him. He's gonna eventually lose.
But he already did. He lost to Nate Diaz. But
I'm talking about the loss where at some point in time his career will end. It'll go off. But he has set himself up to be set up.
Conor, he's just a winner. All
I do is win.
He reminds me of I don't know, like a Schwarzenegger or Will Smith. He's just like one of these characters that whatever they're doing, they're gonna succeed at it because they know, they believe in themselves. They just keep going. If Conor wants to be a movie star, if he wants to start his own promotion, I'm sold on Conor. Whatever you want to do, Conor, you're gonna succeed. I don't he's starting his own MMA site and stuff like that, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up with Conor McGregor Promotions. I no longer put anything past him. The Floyd Mayweather fight, it might actually happen. But you know what he did is he said he got the UFC president to say he was worth $25 million in that fight. The fighters, you look at the purses that are at least listed, it's like $1 or $2 million for the top draws. And then he said, Floyd, if you fight him, $25 million. He just got your own company president, put his name with $25 million. Now he goes, that one's brewing. I got one pot on the fire. Let me go and call GSP, who's like the golden child of the sport. If you look at GSP, he's always been poster boy. I don't think I've ever heard him say a cuss word. He's just he was the one leading the charge against anti-doping, and he takes him, the golden boy, and says, "You're the fakest in the sport. It's because you couldn't get money, and that's why you did it."
But you know what? I mean, if you go back and we talk, and everybody, I do think a lot of people throw the WWE stuff out too much. It's what you should say if you want to talk about WWE is, why don't you just go, he went Shakespeare on us? I mean, because really,
that's drama.
That's what it is. It is a play, and we want. We'll go, Russell. Are you not entertained? And if you're not entertained, you don't pay attention. And if you're not entertained, folks, you don't make any money. What he is we're watching this whole thing unfold, and everybody kind of fits a role. And GSP is the anti-Conor, but he played the good guy role. And you know what? Sometimes life is just about. You go back to, if you've ever listened to the speech from Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he talks about the way that he was supposed to be successful. And when he first came out, everybody said that his accent, he could never be a movie star. And he goes, listen, when I said I'll be back, they said, what did they say after that movie? If Arnold didn't exist, we'd have to create him. So he took what made him unique and ran with it. GSP, I think, because people like him say, I like the rhythm, the way he said, that might have just been the thing that is, and he used it to catapult himself forward to. But what we want to do is we want to get wrapped up in that story.
And
that's why
I'll be honest, one of the people who I think screwed up was John Jones, because he kind of tried to be the good guy, GSP, but he just wasn't. He kind of was a little bit of a bad boy. He's a rebel. He's got issues. He doesn't fit. He doesn't do everything he's supposed to. And honestly, if he ever just owned that and was like, I've made some mistakes. I'm doing my best. I'm doing this. And when he started to lay into Daniel Cormier was, I think, the best John Jones we'd ever seen, because he was just being himself, and he was being authentic. He was like, I hate you. I think you're, and he was no longer trying to be like the sponsor-friendly John Jones.
And what you saw take place in there is that not only did he become liked, I don't go that far, not only did he become liked more, but people actually turned on Daniel, because now all of a sudden Daniel looked fake.
Yeah. Now he was the eat your vegetables, drink your milk guy.
Yeah, and then nobody was buying that shit, because you know what? It isn't Daniel either. Daniel isn't milk and cookies. Daniel very much is an arrogant asshole.
Well, I think Daniel Cormier comes across authentic. I think he does say what he means. He's just not as much of an asshole as John Jones is.
He's as much of an asshole. Here's the difference. Do you want to know the difference between Daniel and John? John does cocaine and Daniel doesn't. There's your fucking difference.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
They're the same people. They both talk all this shit. If you ever want to see somebody be an arrogant asshole, go look the video up of Daniel coming back to Fox Studios with his belt. I mean, he went the full Tim Silva approach, where he's walking. And listen, I'm going to tell you, another person who's a jackass, TJ Dillashaw. I had to look up, because we were taking out this little young kid that kind of looked like TJ, and I was like typed in, because he wasn't a man and didn't watch fighting. So I had to type in who TJ Dillashaw was for him to be able to see it. So I pulled it up. You know what TJ Dillashaw's photo was? It was a photo at his wedding when he was with his wife holding his UFC belt. Listen,
that's pretty bad.
That is some choke shit. Like you're there with your wife and the belt's got to be with you, bro. Like, granted, and understand, I'm not equating what we have accomplished with winning a UFC belt. That's a huge, major undertaking. But it would be like, yo, I go get married with Jen, and I'm holding we made the E5000 list.
Yeah.
Thing with me. I mean, it's, here you go. Did you know that I was made for black? I got a fucking award once. It's so chogy. But that is the level of ego that some of these people have. And it just drives me crazy. And Daniel has a huge ego.
But it all circles into itself where if you're that guy, people stop cheering for you and people don't like you. And so you see these guys who do nail it and they do it well. Now, I don't understand the hate for DC. I don't think DC's that bad. I think he's pretty authentic. I think he's pretty funny.
You also don't watch enough videos, Zach. I mean, let's be honest. DC, you watch the fights. You get like a 2-second. You believe everything UFC tells you.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I'll listen to Ariel Helwani. I get the straight speak from Ariel. All right, but DC's an entertaining guy and he kicks it straight. So I gotta jump for Matt. Matt, honestly,
I know you're gonna like Danny. You're crazy. I disagree with that. I don't think it's like wearing a Super Bowl ring. Honestly, one of the things that I've always wanted is
Super Bowl ring.
Not even like a Super Bowl ring, like a state championship ring. Like to me, and I'll tell you why I think it's different. I think it's different because I look at the ring as like it's designed to be carried with you. If that makes sense, right? Yes, it's big. Yes, it's a huge deal, but it's designed to be carried with you. For me, I don't think that's any different than a soldier, sailor, airman, or marine wearing their ribbons and their medals. It was designed to go where you went. A UFC belt wasn't designed to fucking.
It's not actually to hold your
pants
up.
It's not to go to Walmart with you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying I'm right, but that's why I look at those.
It's different than when you say. I think about it being if you're wearing
4 touchdowns in one game.
I think it's the amount of in-your-faceness about it. The belt's closer to a trophy, and if you're around carrying a trophy, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it's like you just won it and you're walking around till you get to your car. I mean, the belt, or maybe you're doing some sort of promotion. You sign some autographs. Okay, put the belt there. It belongs. You get married.
You shouldn't have your belt.
You probably shouldn't have your belt.
Everybody.
People know.
Yeah, that you're the champion. Like, if somebody's at your fucking wedding and doesn't know you're the UFC champion.
They're wedding crashers.
Bro, that was $50 on a plate that you wasted. I'm just going to be fucking straight up with you.
Did he actually, he won that belt?
Like, I really want to see the rest of the wedding. I want to see, like, if at the head table, there's them, there's grandma, and There's UFC belt. Just fucking posted up.
Actually,
like, what are you like? Yo, you want to fight me, bro?
Now, the belt gets its own seat.
Yeah.
All right, and it gets its own meal. Okay, so we do. There was a big fight. I really was excited about. Was this guy Francis Ngannou? I haven't even really gotten it down. He is going to be the next heavyweight star. He might take a bump in the road here or there on his way through.
I think everybody bumps in the road in the heavyweight division.
I mean, I think that's the way it goes. But he hasn't had a bump in the road. He's had all first round finishes. He's been. What is this stuff?
It's beer from Bench.
Oh, I'm a little cold. All right. I mean, I got a little bit of a cold. All right. I don't want to give Danny sick on our show. But Ngannou, he is off the chain. He's the athlete that you need for the heavyweight division. It's like all the good athletes in the heavyweight division got pulled by basketball and football. He's the first one who's like, not the first one, but he's one of the few ones who are into fighting. His skills have been through the roof. First round finishes. He's picking up the game, and he's already winning. Now, he beat Arlovsky. Not the biggest one, but
last year Arlovsky.
But he looked poised. He looked technical, and he's going to need a little bit more coaching to get him to that next level. But the heavyweight division it's the old men's league. There are about 9 of them that are over the age of 35 in the top 10. He's just going to be sending fools out on their retirement, on their pension plans.
Yeah, but the problem with the heavyweight division is that he can get, I always go back to Duffy.
Oh, this is good. Is this from Brew Bits?
No, it's from Brew Bits, but it's from a brewery, Vanish. Have you been in Vanish?
I'm not. Is it in
Vanish ain't paid me no money, so this shit ain't paid me for. But Vanish is a brewery, guys, down in Leesburg, Virginia, not a far ride. Phenomenal. If y'all like sour beer, like the raspberry sour or whatever, phenomenal beer down there. Great barbecue, a great trip for you to make on a Sunday. Heading right down that way. It's all. I believe it's 15. It's off of. Just check it out.
All right. So yeah. So anyway, I think he's gonna slowly.
But let's go back. Let me go back to my point though, because you made me do my plug and I wasn't gonna pay for it. Duffy. Like, how many people saw Duffy?
Oh, Todd Duffy.
Like, everybody thought that he was going to be the big young guy, built like a fucking big...
And he had that like 7-second knockout in his first... Like, that's a hell of a way to debut. 7-second knockout, looking like...
But in heavyweight, you get...
He-Man action figure.
You get knocked out 1 or 2 times, and that's exactly what happened to him. He got knocked out 2-3 times, man, and it's... There's no coming back from that shit.
Some of those knockouts in the heavyweight division, they change a man.
That's just like being in a car wreck, bro.
You get some of these guys like Roy Nelson and Mark Hunt, and I'm trying to think of who else hasn't been really affected too much. But even like Cain Velasquez and Junior Dos Santos, they wear the wear of all their title fights and fights at heavyweight. They're not looking as good. So I think Stipe is going to be around for a while. But once Ngannou gets his way up there, and honestly, because the heavyweight division is so thin, it might not be that long. It might be within, definitely, I think, within 2
I think your boy gets his ass beat again.
Junior? He already beat Stipe.
Bro, everybody knows that shit was controversial. You don't even
controversial?
Think
but they raised Junior's hand at that.
Whatever, bro. But let me tell you, what I want to talk about is the next murder we're going to see in the UFC. Dana White just said, ignore Big Speen's ass. Because let me tell you what's about ready to happen, people. If y'all thought Brexit was fucking violent and bad and scary, Big Speen's exit is going to be... I am legit petrified that the first man will die inside the octagon when he fights Yo.
Yeah, I actually am nervous thinking about it. I hope he pulls it off. And it like reminds me of one of these like hero stories like Cinderella Man, or one of these ones where the underdog can beat the top contender, and they're like, Rock, you got no chance, retire. Like Rocky versus Mr. T, and Clubber Lang. And it's that story right now, because Bisping, he looks like he's probably got the most slippery grip on his belt. I think we talked about this before. I think Bisping is the most likely to lose his title first.
The only reason Big Speen keeps that title is they give a new belt out each time. That's the only reason.
Leave it at home, because you're going to get another one.
Leave that shit at home.
But Romero has tired 2 fights, and that's how Bisping usually wins. So there is an outside chance that
There
Bisping
is
can avoid the violence for
chance.
4 rounds.
Say it with me. Zero. Zero.
But Bisping's
Zero.
People don't give Bisping enough credit for his toughness.
Bisping
Anderson
will die.
Silva hit him with knocked his mouthpiece out, then jumped, threw a flying knee, knocked him out, won the fight, and they called him back in, and then Bisping won the final 2 rounds.
Bisping will get.
Dan Henderson hit him, did the Hendo bomb to him twice, and won 2 rounds and lost 3. Bisping
Don't even start on that fucking lie.
Bisping
That's not a lie. Hendo won that fight.
No, he won 2 rounds.
No,
Bisping won 3.
Listen, I
Let's
don't
check
give
the
a shit
scorecards.
what they wrote on the scorecards. Hendo won that fight. Everybody but Bisping and you believe that Hendo
At
won
best,
that
it was
fight.
a draw.
Get the fuck out of
It
here.
was.
People, I don't. Here's the deal. If you ever want to save money, never go with Zach's bets. Because
hey, Romero's gonna win.
I'm
I'm trying to argue that there's a chance for Bisping.
The only time Zach has been correct on calling fights, which is crazy to me, because Zach is like 30 million times the puncher kicker guy I am. But the motherfucker cannot call a fight to save his life. Unless he agrees with me. If we disagree, run the opposite way with your money. Because he cannot pick fights to save his life.
Nonsense. All right, we'll nail all the next ones. But yeah, so I think Ngannou is going to be the next person to fight Stipe that actually has a more solid chance. I'm with you on this. I think Junior Dos Santos doesn't take the Stipe rematch. But moving on, a couple more things to cover. All right. Ryan Bader's contract's coming up.
Ryan Bader?
You think Ryan Bader?
Is he still in the UFC?
Yeah, he's like the only young contender in the UFC 205 division. But I'm wondering, do you think the UFC makes a play to keep Ryan Bader, or do you think that's one that Bellator should try to pick up?
Again, dude, I'm telling you, man, I don't see any point at all in Bellator existing.
My goodness. It's a great spot for the UFC has been.
No, it's not. Like, listen, man, it's like, do you want to watch your grandparents have sex?
No, it's not the same thing.
Do you want to watch anyone's grandparents have sex?
Chael and Tito.
Are you into elderly porn?
No.
Okay, that is about as useful as Bellator is.
Bellator has still, there's fighters who still have fun fights in them. Obviously, the proof is in the numbers. Chael Sonnen versus Tito Ortiz had one of their largest shows. 3 million people tuned in for Tito Ortiz
I
versus
still
Chael
don't.
Sonnen.
Bro, what was it? What's the 10-second runtime on the fight?
It wasn't a pretty fight.
I mean, that's the reality of it. Like, I don't even understand, like, how the hell do you even track that? That's one thing I need to, like, look up one day is how do you track who tuned in to watch? Because I'm like, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, I was wondering, like, if I flip through it,
Does that count?
for me watching it?
A lot of people fuck up and hit the wrong channel, man.
I mean, maybe if you're flipping through, maybe they're
3
like,
million people fucked up and hit the wrong channel.
oh man, I thought this was a replay. But yeah, I mean, I think that they have a good spot. The thing I like about this is Ryan Bader is one of those people, I think, that kind of stifles the UFC, where he's knocking out other contenders or finishing off other contenders. He's not really ever going to be Daniel Cormier or John Jones or Anthony Johnson. He's not one of those top guys, but he's just kind of in the way. And so if you're not going to be, it's like shit or get off the pot. I think he's not going to actually make it to be a champion. But if he goes to Bellator, he'll give Phil Davis a run for his money. And Phil Davis, Ryan Bader.
Oh, is Phil Davis even still fighting?
Yeah, he's in Bellator. He's in that other organization you hate.
And he can't even get a belt over there, right?
No, he does. He's there 205.
I saw that Bellator was running Rampage and King Mobat.
Yeah. How fun is that? No, King Mo and Rampage they're perfect Bellator people.
Like, do you want to know what fucking Purgatory is? Purgatory is
King
being
Mo
signed to Bellator.
It's the UFC retirement that they need. And so if you want to hate on the fighters asking for a retirement program, then they need to have options after the UFC. And so you get the older people, the less entertaining people, and then the up-and-comers. And so it's the minor leagues.
So basically
you get sent back to AAA.
You're saying that Bellator is socialism of the fight world. Like, we're just going to give a job to everyone else that sucks.
I mean, there's fighters that the UFC doesn't want to pay what they think they're worth. The Bellator says, hey, we'll pay you that much.
They're not worth it.
Well, we'll see. I mean, if Bellator goes under, then you were right.
And Bellator will go under. They will, because they're going to run fucking Chemo versus Rampage 3.
But the thing is, Rampage still has a name draw to people who aren't following the sport as close as you.
Well, you know what's funny is how long does he have a name? No, and I actually think the opposite. I don't think he has a name draw to people that don't follow the sport. I think he has a name draw to people that do follow the sport. Because if you follow the UFC, you don't know who the fuck Rampage is anymore. Like, if you're a casual UFC fan, you don't know who Rampage is.
I don't know. I think more people know Rampage than they know Shevchenko, than they know. I think Rampage is as big as Cowboy Cerrone.
Get the fuck what?
You think his name doesn't
no,
put?
No
UFC
shot,
champion.
bro. No shot.
And they put a big push behind him. He's been the Ultimate Fighter coach.
Stop.
He's been the champ. He knocked out Chuck Liddell.
Stop. That shit. Man, there are a lot of people who don't know who the fuck Chuck Liddell is anymore. It's a sad state of affairs. Everybody should know. I feel like
Cerrone has more name value than Rampage.
Yes!
Bellator is built around name value. They pick up Kimbo Slice. They pick up Tito Ortiz and Chael Sonnen. Those are people who have big names.
Let me tell you something. If you are an organization.
Advantage is delicious.
Yeah, if you are an organization and in your promotion you talk about all the great shit that your guy did in the other promotion, you are not set up for long-term success.
Well, they're working in a tough market, okay? UFC owns 1 through 10 in almost every division in the worldwide MMA.
Yeah, so why are you
they can't contend with the best versus the best. It just isn't, at best they have Phil Davis, who's like a number 5 or 6 guy. That's like their best is a number 6 guy. So they're building fights that people want to see that aren't in the top 10, and you have to do things like Ken Shamrock versus Royce Gracie. You have to do ones like Chael Sonnen versus Tito. And those fights weren't fun to watch. Dada 5000 versus Kimbo.
The man had a fucking heart attack because he never worked out.
The funny thing is the build-up videos are the better part of
you
the
Bellator. You ever watched Data's video that he did, like the straight to Netflix one?
Data,
whatever.
I think Data from Star Trek.
I like Data, but I guess
Data 5000.
Whatever. You ever watch his video of him backyard fighting where he puts on these fights?
That's interesting.
Bro, this fool was like trying to act like he works out hard. I'm like, bro, you're not even sweating. It's hot outside. What the fuck? Like, are you serious? Like, this is your deal? Listen, we got only like 6 minutes left. Let's go away from the fucking bottom of the barrel and let's go back to the top of the mountain. And let's talk about whether or not it is fair and or right that John Jones is getting a title shot when he comes out of his like 55th suspension.
He's the greatest 205 pounder of all time. The real reason is that there ain't shit else in that division to do. That division is thin. Daniel Cormier and Rumble Johnson. And maybe you could count in Gustafsson, even though he's lost 2. So when John Jones comes in, it's not that he's pushing everybody out of the line. There really isn't a line. There's just kind of like a scattering of people waiting around. And that's the best fight to rejuvenate the division. And they're starved for a star. So John Jones goes in. If he's washed up and loses Daniel Cormier, they can do a trilogy fight. If he becomes if he wins again, all of a sudden they have somebody to kind of fill that void that Rousey's left. That another person who can draw at the head of a card. So I think John Jones going on top. Definitely. And besides,
if you want to know who I think is beating him, I 100% right, and it's irrelevant from the standpoint that he hasn't done well since that. But I 100% believe Gustafsson beat John Jones in that fight.
I mean, that was a very close one, but you know what it is that I was biased because I was rooting. I was like, Gustafsson's gonna do it. Oh my God, he's hanging with him. And sometimes when you see these dominant champions and someone else is hanging with them, you end up putting it as a win. But I mean, honestly, like if you put John Jones in against, I don't know, one of these number 6 or like a Ryan Bader, do you really want to see Ryan Bader versus John Jones?
I watched it. It wasn't good.
Did you see what OSP, Open St. Preux versus John Jones? I mean, once you get out of those first 3 or 4, there's not a lot. I mean, Glover Teixeira versus John Jones again. Is it
Well,
a better one to see when he comes back?
Here's the real question: is that why are those divisions so thin? Is there just not that many big people walking around anymore?
You know what? Honestly, it is. I think is that John Jones has beat everybody up, and so a lot of these guys who were rising contenders have already been beaten down, and you no longer think of them as a decent threat. So you look at these other divisions, you know, where it's kind of like middleweight is upside down. The worst guys on top, and there are some killers coming. Luke Rockhold's coming. Yoel Romero's coming. Jacare. There's some bad dudes right on his heels. You look at 205, it's DC and maybe Rumble has a chance, but none of these other guys do. And then John Jones, you put him there, there's nobody on his heels. So, I mean, I think if Jones wants to do something interesting, win the title, and then go right to heavyweight. Because heavyweight's just as thin. He'd probably have an easier time at heavyweight than he would beating up those guys again.
Well, you heard it from the fool himself. Zach
DC
Davis.
first, then heavyweight.
Well, guys, as always, we appreciate you spending your Wednesday night with us. We hope that you enjoyed it over a nice night of perhaps brandy, maybe a cheese wheel was an option for you
nice
as well
Chianti.
too. I'm not even mad if you ate an entire cheese wheel. As a matter of fact, I'm impressed. Of course, Sharif disagreed with me. Well, that's
Always
because
does.
we disagree on a lot of things, but we still love each other, and that is the beauty of America. Keep that in mind, people. I hope you all have a phenomenal night. Until next time, I'm Danny.
I'm Zach.
We'll see you next week, guys. Have a great one.
Awesome.
Actually, we won't see you next week because I have a political fundraiser if you'd like to come to it and help us raise money to get involved in politics.
Oh, yeah, machine gun nest.
Machine gun nest. But we'll probably do something early in the morning because that's just mine and Zach's style.
That's probably a good way to
Peace,
do it.
guys.